Hello and welcome back to this channel on digging into gratitude. My name is Rachel and I am a coach, a success coach, and I get people to think. And so I'm right there with them and I get to think a lot also, which is part of how I get to grow and how I accompany my clients to grow. So I'm talking to you on this channel about different angles of gratitude. And I'm sharing with you parts of the book that I'm going to be publishing soon. And just want to not make you wait and start sharing some ideas that you can consider on how you can dig into the topic and maybe get a few more ideas on. Today, I want to talk about not kind of being gratitude, but what gets in the way of being gratitude. I'm on this quest, and something that I've learned is that we don't usually seek out things that we have abundantly in our lives. We seek things that are lacking. So you can imagine that it's this feeling that I had of lack of gratitude that has me on this quest. So that begs the question, why do I not feel grateful to the extent I'd like to? How did I come to being in this state where I feel lack of gratitude? This for me was a really important question to ponder. I think that being not grateful or not grateful enough to feel happy and fulfilled is a symptom. It's a result of something that has come before. And so for me, it's about discovering what is that cause, seeing beyond the effect. Because without exploring and understanding what is the root cause, I would only be treating the symptom, doing surface maintenance work. And so I have learned that throughout my coaching studies and my coaching over the years, that it is our internal belief which drives our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. There is a saying that says, belief drives behaviors. So these beliefs, they can be unconscious or conscious. So if a lot of it is unconscious, going to look for them, uncovering them, and then be able to articulate them is the path to really getting empowerment in our ability to change the cause at that root level and not just the surface symptom level. I love the quote from Carl Jung on this topic. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. So that's what I want to dig into. What is unconscious? What is invisible that I'm not seeing that is keeping me from being happy to the level that I want to? My work here for me and my hope for you is to shed light on what is unconscious within each of us so that we may see it and then we're able to improve upon it. This is what my exploration on my lack of gratitude has uncovered. There's been quite a few things, and I want to share some of them with you. So I need to kind of dig, which also brings me to kind of go back and say, how did this start? Where did it start? And it had me thinking about how I grew up, how we learn language about our feelings, and how we express them. It's all learned. I've learned by observing others. I've had some wonderful luck in the family department. I grew up in a really wonderful family. And like most of you, I also grew up being influenced by the TV shows and movies I watched, the struggles and the drama of the characters and how they expressed them. They were some of my first models of how life scenarios affect our feelings and how what's the right way to do it. I saw it on TV. Those types of scripted drama might get high ratings for TV. They don't get high ratings for life. So I don't recommend them for anything else than just viewing and entertainment purposes. My next models, well, they were my friends, the people from my neighborhood that I grew up with, then the people at school that I played with and hung around with throughout all the school years. So we were all equally immature, myself included. We had no life experience. Yet these friends, not only were they my confidant, they were also my guides on how to work through and express my feelings about my then little life dramas. Now, there's a recipe for developing a mature perspective and behavior. Wow, we were the blind leading the blind. And so that sounded the way that it sounds for teenagers. And with that didn't get me started on the right foot as I moved from teenage years to early adult. And so life started to be rough and I needed to find new tools. So I don't really remember if there was a set incident that got me reading, that got me curious about personal growth. But I do know that within my family, both my parents were avid readers. And my mother, she read on biographies, communication, relationships, and so forth. And she shared a lot of what she was reading with us while we were growing up. So I had that model. I confess, maybe I wasn't a very good student at the start, but I learned that books were a place where I could find answers to some of my challenges. And so that's one of the places where I got. I really needed to change a lot of paradigms that I had learned from my early years on this planet. And I needed to change this concept, this external concept that others trigger our emotions, trigger my emotions, that I am in a position of poor, powerless victim. When I say powerless, I'm not referring to try to, you know, have power over the supposed villain, to have the tables turned within our stories, but rather power and over managing my own emotions, my perspective of what's going on. One of my early mentors used to say, if anyone can make you feel sad, mad, or glad, you've been had. He was talking about taking responsibility for our emotional responses. He used to say, nothing is being done to you. Stuff is happening around you, but you are choosing how to react. Now, the idea is not to ignore or suppress our emotions, but rather it's to start viewing it differently and reacting to it differently, from being reactive to starting to observe ourselves react, to say like, wow, here I am. And so we stop being powerless. We start to notice our reaction versus getting into blame. So I start getting responsible. The next step is to control my reaction versus act in defense or maybe a bit of vengeance. So I gain self-control. And then learn to transform and release some of my emotions versus suppress or negate them. And that's wisdom and maturity within this process. So there was a lot of things to go through. And so there's a lot of language that goes along with this way of thinking, of changing, going from you make me angry. So it's the other person who's the instigator, the one to blame, the villain. And then moving to a place to just recognizing I'm angry about this situation. So I can just express the way that I'm feeling rather than what I used to do before. A third way in this evolution is to say, I am reacting in anger. I'm reacting with anger. So it's acknowledging that I am the one doing it. You see this evolution? And the next one, I am choosing anger in this situation. That's a conscious choice. I'm in control. I'm no longer powerless. I'm choosing anger. I could choose something else, but right now, that's where I'm at. So there's different ways to kind of show this evolution, this process, and I talk more about those details in my book. So one of the things that I've loved about growing is the curiosity that I have, the loving of growing, and the love of reading has really brought me on this journey, this evolution of who I am, how I see the world. And it's brought me to this place of exploring gratitude, of saying, what else do you want from life, Rachel? And how can you get it? And so I started to explore gratitude. And I started to think about, if I don't have something, what's getting in the way? What's getting in the way? Because it's probably somehow accessible, but I'm not seeing it or I'm blocking it. So what's getting in the way was my next question. And I have pondered that and found quite a few really interesting answers. And one of the things that I found out, and here's my confession, it was about qualities that have been pushed too far. So I have, I'm told, lots of qualities, and I have blindly and unknowingly, unconsciously taken some of these qualities beyond a healthy, likable limit. I now know that in life that everything is a double-edged sword, that at a certain degree it can be a good thing, and that at another degree it can turn into a not so great thing. So I find that it's a delicate balance of just enough. On one side, if and when I don't do the best I can, I might be operating below my optimum level. Yet, on the other side, if I've pushed it too far, I'm in the flaw category. And so it reminds me of being aware and finding that balance. That brings me to a great quote from Eric Hoffer. He said, to learn, you need a certain degree of confidence, not too much and not too little. If you have too little confidence, you'll think you can't learn. If you think you have too much, you'll think you don't need to learn. So I see how this concept of too little and too much can apply to many things. and to some of my qualities that I've now turned into, that in the past have turned into the flaws and got me in trouble. So I have a list, but today I want to share with you one just to get you thinking. I've got a few what I'll call gratitude blockers. And the first one I want to talk about is confidence. Confidence. It's a great quality and one that I have. And yet, when it's pushed too far, it can turn to arrogance. And I've often pushed it too far. So, yes, I am a confident person. It's a great quality. I've dared to do many things others might have shied away from. I am courageous in life. A lot of people will tell you that. So that is a quality that has opened many doors for me to great life experiences in many fabulous ways. And yet, confidence brought too far crosses an invisible line. You don't see like where it is. It gets out of balance and becomes arrogance. I became prideful. What I thought was confidence, others saw as a sense of I had a superiority complex of some sort. In a way, arrogance says, and not that I was necessarily saying these things, but this is how it might have come across. Arrogance says things like, I want, I demand, I should get, it's my right. So that way of being, regardless of the tone of voice in which you express it, could be really nice, it comes across as too much. And then I don't get what I want. I have expectations and they're not met. And I'm left with being frustrated and a sense of being fulfilled, and therefore it blocks gratitude. So that was my first awareness of what gets in the way of gratitude. I'll continue the list in the next videos. But for now, I hope this gets you thinking a little bit about what could be some of your gratitude blockers. And in the meantime, I hope that you would click and like this video as well as subscribe so that you will stay in touch of what the next video will be. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to sharing more in the future.